Hello everyone and welcome back to Python lessons on Codecademy. So today we will be looking at list or string slicing syntax and notation. So let's get started. I will say that this is actually quite useful in Python because it allows you to get a specific element in a list or character in a string when you're looking for it. So pay attention. Okay, so let's actually get started then. We've generated a list with a list comprehension in the editor to the right, and we're about to print a selection from the list using list slicing. Can you guess what will be printed out? Click Save and Submit Code when you think you know. Okay, so this makes a list which is that, all of the square numbers from 1 to 10, and then we're saying print L, start 2, stop 9, and step 2. So list notation works kind of a bit similarly to how range does, in a way, in that you can specify which index to start at, which you can do for range. So range here is start at index 1. We can actually do this to make it easier. And then we say stop at index 11 for range, but for this list we say stop at index 9 or before index 9 as we've discussed before, and do it with a step of 2. So instead of going through every element in the list, go through every second element in the list. Here range goes through every number in the list one by one, but we can put 2 here and it's going to go through every second element of that list. Well, not really a list, but yeah, of that string of that list that you're trying to make. So my guess of what this is going to print is if the second, index 2 is 9, then it's going to print 25, then 49, and stop there. So it should print 9, 25, and 49 is my guess. Oh, it actually prints 81 as well. Oh yes, because 81 is index, no, 81 is index 9, isn't it? And we're saying to stop at index 9, i.e. before index 9. Or is it oh no, actually it is index 8. So it's going to stop at index 8 because we have 10 elements, therefore 100 is at index 9 and 1 is at index 0. Okay, so this does make sense. So let's move on. Omitting indices. Use list slicing to print out every odd element of my list from start to finish. Omit the start and end index. You only need to specify a stride. Check the hint if you need help. Okay, so we need to omit the start and end index. So if we do, what if we do this with start at, because we want to start at 1, seeing as we want to omit the first index, but also how this compares to range. Instead of commas you put colons, which is different. Okay, so let's get on with the task. So my list started 1, stride of 1, so we don't need to actually specify that, and stop at -1. Is that going to work? No. What does that actually do? What if we do that? Oh, I don't know. Okay, let's actually check the hint then. Start and stride. Remember the syntax for list slicing is that since you're using the entire list, you should leave out the start and end indices but leave in the colons and give the slice a stride. So our stride is 1 because we want to go through the whole list. Or is it? Omit the start and end index. I don't understand this. Oh, we need to print it then? Oh, okay. So that's not descriptive enough, in my opinion, what it's trying to omit. I guess it's wanting us to omit every second number that's in the list. But I don't get where it says that from the task. Or does it just accept this because that's how Codecademy works? Okay, so I don't actually understand this task completely, but this works and I guess it's fine. So for now, let's just move on. Reverse a list. So this is an interesting part, or an interesting task. We need to create a variable called backwards and set it to equal to the reversed version of my list. Make sure to reverse the list in the editor by passing your list slice a negative stride, like in the example above. So as we can see, here we have a list called letters, and then we say print letters with a stride of -1. If our stride is a positive number, it's going to go from the beginning to the end. If it's a negative number, it's going to go from the end to the beginning by the stride that you give it. So in the example above, we print out EDCBA. And so we need to do this to our list, which is called my list. We just need to do a similar thing. So backwards equals my list : -1 should print the whole list backwards from 10 to 1. And we don't see that actually happening, but Codecademy accepts it, so we will just move on because it's the same as that and works the same as it. If you have any questions or would actually like me to show it on the next video, then please do ask in the comments. I don't really mind. But for now, let's just move on. Stride length. We need to create a variable backwards by tens and set it equal to the result of going backwards through to 100 by tens. Go ahead and print backwards by tens to the console. So simplest way to do this is just, well, we know we need to print something, then we need to get an index, and our stride needs to start from the end. Therefore this needs to be a negative number. How we know that it should be -10, as I've typed here, is because it's telling us to go back by tens. So hopefully this does work, and no, it doesn't. So, oh, okay, so we actually need a variable. So backwards by tens. And then we can just print the variable, I'm guessing. That's the easiest way. Yes, there we go. So it does the same thing. Because we don't specify a start and a stop, it just prints the whole list, I'm guessing, from what I can see, without any well, it starts at the end character or the end element and finishes at the first element, or after the first element, if you want to say it correctly, because if you stop at the first element, then it would stop before that element, because it's programming. I don't know how to better explain that. So it goes back by tens, but we clearly know that this list is from 0 to 100. So let's move on. Practice makes perfect. I think that was also a topic name, wasn't it? Okay, so we need to create a list to 21. That's just the numbers from 1 to 21 inclusive. Okay, so that's easy to do. We can just use range. Create a second list, odds, that contains only the odd numbers in the 221 list, 1, 3, 5, and so on. Use list slicing for this one instead of a list comprehension. So how we can do this is, what we need to call it odds equals 221, and then we need to get the indexes, which are well, if we're starting at 1, then every time you add 2 on, you're going to get an odd number. So therefore this is going to work, because our start is going to be 0, our stop is going to be the very end, and our stride can be 2 to only get the odd numbers. Then finally we need to create a third list, middle third. Okay, let's do that. That's equal to the middle third of 221 from 8 to 14 inclusive. So how we can do this is start at 8, stop at 15, and stride of 1. This should hopefully work. So let's actually print the list at every stage, and so that I can show you that it does actually work. Then print middle third. Oops, we have something wrong. Oh, that's because I don't actually have this list. I just have random brackets. Okay, so there is still something wrong, but it's a different error. So it looks like your list for middle third is that instead of that. Oh, because these are indexes, not the actual number. So to get the actual number, you have to add 1 to the start and subtract 1 from the stop. Or maybe not. Is it supposed to be like this? It ends at 14, so that's fine. Oh, so I guess you subtract 1 from both. Okay, so let's explain this. So we make a list using range, which we've covered how to do, so we know how to do that, and it's fine. Then we make a new list called odds, and we assign that list to be 221 with a stride of 2. So starting at 0, stopping at after the last element, and it goes through the whole list and only takes the odd numbers basically. And then we print it, and we do get all of the odd numbers from 1 to 21 inclusive. Then we print the middle third, which makes use of start, stop, and stride all together. And as you can see here, we get the list from 8 to 14. So let's move on. This task is only going to be an introduction for our next lesson. So yeah, let's explain what it does. I will start off by actually reading the task. One of the more powerful aspects of Python is that it allows for a style of programming called functional programming, which means that you're allowed to pass functions around just as if they were variables or values. Sometimes we take this for granted, but not all languages allow this. Check out the code at the right. See the lambda bit, typing lambda x. Okay, so this bit, colon x modulo 3 equals 0. And that's the same as that. Defined by 3x and return x modulo 3 equals 0. So if the number is evenly divisible by 3. Okay. Only we don't need to actually give the function a name. It does its work and returns a value without one. That's why the function the lambda creates it. Wait, what? That's why the function the lambda creates is an I think that's supposed to be. No, that sentence doesn't make any sense. That's why the function lambda. What the function lambda creates is an anonymous list or function, not list. Why am I saying list? Okay, so yeah, that's what I think that sentence should say. What the function the lambda creates is an anonymous function. When we pass the lambda to filter, filter uses the lambda to determine what to filter, and the second argument, my list, which is just the number 0 to 15, and is the list it does the filtering on. So I actually don't understand this completely, so for next lesson I will have to do some research, but for now what I don't understand this doing is anything, so we will just save and submit and see what it does. So we print filter, I don't know what that is, and we have lambda x, so I guess it works similar to list comprehension, where we have, if we have that as x and the colon as a comma, and if we have an if statement there, x is evenly divisible by 3, then append x or something like that, and we could take my list as the input list. So next lesson I will try to explain this more in depth, so stay tuned, and until next time, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share if you like the video, dislike if you didn't like the video, and tell me what I can improve on. And until next time, thanks for watching and goodbye.